Yep, what's going on? So this is a change of tack today. A little bit different than what we've been doing. We've been doing loads of content around sparring method and sparring coaching and this kind of technique as well. A little bit mainly coming out of the recent seminar with Mr. Ford, which was awesome. You can go check out the whole thing. It's up on our YouTube channel now. So today a little bit of a different tack. Not so much for actual technical taekwondo or patterns or sparring. It's more of an idea that I've been thinking about for a long time. I mean, I write a bit of software. That's kind of my job outside. So I wanted to find a way of bringing that into taekwondo somehow, and how I can kind of see if there's anything useful that I can use these skill sets for. And one of the things that got me thinking about is we were talking. I was talking with Mr. Ford last week, and it was one of the things that came out was the gap between competition levels, especially at black belt, right? So I mean, the jump from senior color belt to senior black belt is huge. It's a bigger jump than going from, say, cadet junior black belt to senior black belt. It's a much bigger chasm there, and other divisions, right? This isn't an exclusive problem to that category. There's other places where this happens as well, where the standard in some divisions in some countries, obviously in Ireland especially, is quite high. It's really really high, And if you don't have that pedigree of being built through from a kid to a junior to a cadet to a senior, it's very hard to sort of join the game. And that there's an element of kind of well, tough. That's the way it is. This is taekwondo. You can deal with it, right? Um, and sometimes I kind of subscribe to that philosophy that taekwondo is very fair that way. You're either at the standard or you're not. But at the same time, we want to be able to bring people in, and we want to include people, and we want to give people an option to compete and to have that chance, even if they're not at elite high level international athlete. Which is where the sort of national tournaments are used as a kind of proving ground for those people that are after that, and should be, right. I'm not saying it shouldn't be, but there's a whole cohort of people left out, or not so much left out, but not confident to step on in because they're not at that standard, I mean, and that's okay. But one of the things that this got me thinking about was, is there another way we can do tournaments? Is there another way we can do? How do we set fair matches? How do we set competitive matches that are fair, outside of the traditional sort of grade and weight bands? And one of the things I've been researching a little bit about was the ranking and rating algorithm for chess, which is the ELO algorithm, right? So I'm going to talk about this today, and I've written a bit of software here to show it in action and maybe discuss some of its applications, not just for tournament, but for maybe how you can use it in class, or maybe how you could use it for national selection, and so on and so forth. So again, it's this idea of trying to balance out the playing field so that it's more engaged and more inclusive for people of all kind of abilities, and not just dominated by people at the absolute top level, right? So you have it in many other sports. You have divisions and tiers, and maybe taekwondo is there. And then there's the whole opposite side of this, where it mightn't be possible because there just isn't the numbers to make up this level, right? There is only 4 people at under 70 senior male, or whatever it is, right? Or some, maybe there's that side of it too. But anyway, that doesn't deter me from the experiment, and I shall play with it a lot and continue on with it. Anyway, so let's talk about this rating and ranking algorithm. So the ELO algorithm was devised by Arpad or Arnad ELO. I can't remember. I should look it up. I should have looked it up. Anyway, I didn't. But Mr. ELO, he came up with this algorithm for rating and ranking chess. It's a self-correcting algorithm. So it works in zero sum games where the result is win, lose, draw. That's not exactly zero sum. Anyway, no, zero sum. Yeah. So win, lose, or draw, right? It doesn't work where there's sort of partial scores, but anyway, in this case where you have a like taekwondo, where we have a sparring match or a patterns match or a power competition, where there's a winner and not so much power actually, but in sparring and patterns, for example, where it's a zero-sum game, you either win or you lose, right? I know we can have draws and patterns, but at the end, we will have a winner, right? So, how this algorithm works is you ascribe a score to people, a number, an arbitrary number, for example, let's say 1,000 points to a person, and they play people of similar ability. And if you win, you gain points off them, and they lose points. So if you're and it's done based on probability, and I'll go into this a little bit as well. But essentially, it's self-correcting, whereby people who are rated too low accumulate points quickly and will end up naturally balancing out against people of a similar level. People who are rated too high will also similarly drop down to a level where they're equivalent, right? And it's done through many different ways and many different means. And I'm gonna dig through it. But what I like about it is then you have this, like I said, you have this representative level of ability that means you're placed in a pool of competitors that are similar to standard, similar ability based on this rating algorithm, and it's an interesting way of doing it, right? So let's look at the so like I said, I wrote a little bit of code for this to sort of talk you through how it works, and I'll cut this now to the video on the screen, and you can have a look at it in action. Okay, the code here now. I'm gonna just sort of talk through this really quickly. I'm not going to spend a long time dealing with it because it's not a software topic. Essentially, we have two important functions: expected outcome, adjusted rating. So this is the formula for working out the probability of person 2 versus person 1, the outcome likelihood that this person will beat this person based on their rating. And there's the formula: 1 over 1 plus 10 to the power of the difference between the two ratings over 400, right? This will give you your probability. It's a score from 0 to 1 in a decimal, so 0.3, 0.4, 0.5, 0.6, 0.7. A score of 1 is a certain victory. A score of 0 is a certain loss. So two people will compete against each other, and they will have two ratings, and the outcome likelihood will be determined by the probability of this, right? So I just want to have a look at the code. So here we go. I've set up a few different scenarios here. Generating a random list of students, not really important. So let's look at this. So here you go. This is just to show you the setup. And turn that out. Okay, so if we run this now, you can see it's written in Scala if anyone cares. You can find it. I'll push it to GitHub and you can have a read of it. So here we go. Student A's initial ranking was 2,331. Student B's initial ranking was 2,400, right? So the probability of student A winning is 0.39. The probability of B winning is 0.61. Okay. So this is how we rate this. And I'm just generating random students here. These aren't real people, or it's not worked out in any way, shape, or form, right? So if we run a match, and again, to run a match, I take the two probabilities here from the expected outcomes. I randomly ascribe a win or a loss to each of them, and then we adjust their ranking, right? There's a thing in here, k, which I need to talk about briefly. K is this exponent, or not exponent, sorry, it's this constant that is used to tweak the value. That the higher the k value, the more penalizing it is. The lower the k value, the less penalizing it is. So you might want a very high k value where you have a new pool of unrated people or lower ranked people, so that you quickly go up through the ranks and then you level the k off as it gets higher and higher. Because the more sensitive that k value is, the more reflective of recent results it is rather than long term, I suppose, is one way of looking at it. So anyway, let's run this imaginary match between person A and person B. Here we go. So again, student A's ranking 2108, student B's ranking 2005. The odds of A winning were 0.73, the odds of B winning were 0.2. This is the actual result. Student A lost. Student B scored the upset and wins the match. So student A's new ranking now 2157. So instead of 2181, so they lost here. And student B's ranking, it goes from 2005 to 2028.36. So now we have this huge swing in points now, and it's more reflective of their ability, right, based on that match. So that's one way. So and the really nice thing I like about this algorithm is you don't have to run it after every match. So you could have an imaginary tournament like I have here, and it will. So let's run an imaginary tournament, right? So essentially we have 10 competitors, and I'm using this one person EOC this with a ranking of 2250, and then we're going to play 10 matches, and we're going to run them all together, and we're going to see what happens, right? So if I run the 10 matches, and because all you have to do then is essentially just sum all the expected outcomes and sum all of the actual outcomes, and then you can plug it into the formula and you get your new rating anyway, right? So you can see here there's 10 matches run. My initial rating is that. Here are my opponent's ratings, 22, 24, 82. The probabilities, you can see them all the way down, 0.5, 0.2, 0.7, 0.8. And then win or loss, loss, win, loss, loss, win, win. So again, some upsets against 0.27, winning that. Anyway, so here's the overall result. So expected result was 5.67. The actual result was 5. So I actually didn't have a great day that day. So my ranking will probably go down. And as you can see, it has. My old ranking was 2250. My new ranking after that tournament is 2239.28. So I've actually lost points in that despite scoring a few upset victories and obviously had a few upset losses as well. And this is how this algorithm works, and this is how we can use it. So it's for me it's an interesting one because I find it kind of reflective and will be kind of useful to see if we could use this as a competitive tool, right? So I mean, the obvious applications for this are in tournament, right? You know, the hard part is actually administrating and tracking it and keeping hold of everybody's ratings and rankings, and you know, it takes a long time to populate this data set, and for national tournaments that's probably not really a runner. For international tournaments it probably is, and we have the historical data from previous, you know, European Championships, World Championships, World Cups, European Cups, so on and so forth. So these results could be backfed into a system that would give people an actual rating and a ranking, and that's great for internationals. But you could do it nationally as well. I mean, it just means you have to adjust the way you it's just another process you have to add into your tournament. Where else would this come in handy? So I mean, one place that I think this might come in really, really useful is in selection, right? If you're a national team coach and you're trying to toss up between one or two people, you now have historical data to look at, and you have a rating and you go, well, this person we're not sure of, this person we're sure of, and what are they rated at? Well, he's 100 or 200 or she's 100 or 200 points up or down. And maybe this will help you as an extra data point to say, yeah, okay, well then let's pick this person over that person. That's just an idea. Can you know, another place that I was thinking about, sorry, another place I was thinking that this might be very useful is in your actual club itself, right? How do you use this ranking and rating algorithm to you know, as a game tool for instructors, for students to sort of have another metric apart from their belt and their, you know, place in class, right? So you can use this if you're setting up sparring games where people have objectives to win and complete, and this is again following on from what Mr. Ford was talking about last week about having two objectives for people and gamifying it that way, right? Where you have, you know, I have a job to do and you have a job to do, and one of us will win, and that can be a match, and you can track that score against these people, and you can use that and feed it into this algorithm to give people a class ranking if you want, you know. And maybe it'll, again, as instructors, help you to choose who's promotion ready, who's not ready, who needs more time. It gives you data to back up. And another thing is, if people are in charge of their own rating and submitting their own scores, then it's integrity, right? And this is one of the tenets, and we want to push that as well, right? You know, you need some sort of validation system. It's not an easy task to do that, and it could end up being an administrative nightmare that you just abandon after a while. But it's a possible idea behind it. So that's the ELO algorithm. How it works, you've seen it there in practice, and yeah, it's an interesting one for me. It's a different way of thinking about competition. It's a different way of thinking about tournament, and trying to find a data-driven way to engage with Taekwondo. Not just all singing, all dancing, all punching, all kicking. So this is more of a It's a completely different tack that I've taken on this one today. It's not Taekwondo specific, but it's something that, you know, I'm trying to bridge that gap between technology and Taekwondo, and I think this is one area that was kind of just interesting to explore. Whether or not it gets used or not, or has any value, is another thing, right? But if there's other sides of kind of tech that you think that might be useful, and I'd love to hear people's opinions on this, because I think there's loads of opportunity to engage with or to modernize Taekwondo in some ways, using software, really simple stuff. This is just a little example. Like I said, I'll push the code to GitHub somewhere. If people are really interested in the code, I'll happily talk to them about it. And yeah, that's kind of that. So I mean, look, we might do more of these sort of techie kind of crossover blogs, but yeah, that's the sort of story with that. So if you like the videos and you're enjoying them, let us know. Let us know what you're thinking, because we want to produce content for you that's actually relevant and stuff that you actually want. You know, I'm not so big on, you know, just shooting montage videos of flying back kicks and stuff like that. And there's loads of that on the internet. You can go see it. I want to actually create stuff that people will spark conversation, and we'll get people involved in it. So we'll get back into a few more of the technical videos. I'm trying to find time to shoot the patterns videos. And yeah, we'll keep pushing stuff up, and hopefully you're enjoying it, and hopefully you're getting value out of the videos and the podcasts and stuff. So yep, if you like it and all, give it a share, give it a subscribe. It's on the usual channels. Yeah, we'll talk to you soon. Take care.